Hey everyone, today we're going to talk about something that can make or break your trip. Those little mistakes we all tend to make when planning our travels. Even when you plan everything down to the smallest detail, things can still go wrong if you miss certain key aspects. In this video, I'll go over the 10 most common mistakes travelers make when planning their trips and, more importantly, how to avoid them. So if you want your next trip to be smooth and memorable for all the right reasons, stick around. The first mistake has to do with picking the wrong time to travel. And I'm not just talking about seasons or weather, although that's super important too. For example, if you're planning to visit Europe, you should think not only about the weather, but also about local holidays and events. Many cities in Italy, for instance, are packed in August because that's when the locals take their vacations. Not only is it crowded, but everything from hotels to restaurants is more expensive and harder to book. But here's something most people don't think about. In some countries, there are times when many shops and restaurants close for national holidays. So imagine arriving at your destination, only to find out that everything is shut down for days. Always check for local holidays before you finalize your travel dates. Next up is overpacking your schedule. We all want to see as much as possible in a short amount of time, but trying to fit everything in can make your trip feel rushed and stressful. You'll end up exhausted, running from one attraction to the next without actually enjoying any of it. Leave room for spontaneity. Some of the best travel memories come from the unexpected discoveries you make when you're not rushing. And here's something you may not have thought about. When you overload your itinerary, you miss out on truly experiencing the local atmosphere. Sometimes, just sitting in a cafe and people watching can be more rewarding than racing through a list of tourist spots. That's what I like to call traveling with intention. This isn't just about learning what's polite and what's not. It's about understanding that what seems normal to you might be completely different in another culture. For example, in some countries, raising your voice in public might be seen as rude, while in others, bargaining in stores is totally normal, even in places where you wouldn't expect it back home. Another thing people often overlook is language. Now, I'm not saying you need to become fluent, but knowing a few basic phrases like hello, please, and thank you can go a long way. Locals will appreciate the effort, and it'll likely make your experience much smoother. This is one a lot of seasoned travelers skip because they think nothing's gonna happen to me. But the truth is, anything can happen, and medical bills in foreign countries can be outrageous. Even something as simple as a broken leg or getting sick could end up costing you more than your entire trip. But it's not just about medical coverage. Travel insurance can also cover things like canceled flights, lost luggage, or even theft. It gives you peace of mind knowing that if something goes wrong, you won't be left with a huge financial headache. Budgeting is a big one. A lot of travelers tend to overspend in the first few days of their trip, leaving themselves with little to work with by the end. But here's another thing to keep in mind: hidden costs. Things like tipping at restaurants, hotel fees, toll roads, and local taxes can all add up quickly. Make sure to research what extra expenses you might face in the country you're visiting. For example, some countries automatically include a service charge in your restaurant bill, while in others, tipping is expected and not included. This is a classic mistake, especially for those who like to be spontaneous. Sure, last-minute trips can be exciting, but they can also be super expensive. In most cases, flights, hotels, and even tours get pricier the closer you get to your travel date. But here's something you might not have considered. In popular destinations, especially during peak season, last-minute bookings can mean there are simply no good places left to stay. Imagine trying to find a decent hotel in Paris or Rome at the last minute during summer. You might end up overpaying for something way below your standards. This one's a bit more personal, overestimating your physical capabilities. Traveling isn't always lounging on a beach. It can involve a lot of walking, hiking, or long city tours that are more exhausting than you expected. If you're not physically prepared, these activities can wear you out quickly. Another thing people underestimate? Jet lag. If you're traveling long distances, your body might need more time to adjust to the new time zone than you think. Jet lag can seriously affect how much energy you have for sightseeing. Packing is something we've all struggled with at some point. Sometimes we pack too much and end up lugging around unnecessary stuff, while other times we forget essential items. But what most people don't think about is how important it is to pack strategically. For example, always keep your essential medications, travel documents, and valuables in your carry-on, not in the suitcase you're checking in. And don't forget to pack for the weather at your destination. It sounds simple, but you'd be surprised how many people don't check the forecast and end up unprepared. We live at a time when we rely so heavily on our smartphones and the internet, but that can backfire during travel. What if you find yourself in a place with no internet or your phone dies unexpectedly? That's why it's always a good idea to have physical copies of your tickets, maps, and any important documents with you. They can save the day when your tech lets you down. And here's another issue. GPS apps are amazing, but what if you're in a remote area where they don't work? Make sure to download offline maps, or at least have a general understanding of the area before you go. Transportation is one of those things people don't really think about until they're in a new place. But it's crucial to understand that transportation systems work very differently in different countries. In some places, taxis may not be reliable, while in others, public transport can be confusing if you don't know how it works. If you're planning to rent a car, make sure you're aware of local driving laws. Some countries require special driving permits, and road conditions can be very different from what you're used to. Also, remember to check whether you'll need to navigate toll roads or parking regulations to avoid unexpected fines. So there you have it, the 10 most common travel planning mistakes and how to avoid them. I hope these tips help make your next trip a lot more enjoyable and stress-free. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more useful tips. Wishing you safe and fun travels, and I'll see you in the next video.